everyone. Welcome to the Daily Grind. My name is Kelly Johnson, your friendly and fun host. We're on episode 28, the very best one yet. We have entered February, National Cherry Creative Romance, National Weddings Month, lots of different holidays in this month. It also includes the Super Bowl, Groundhog's Day, and more. Speaking of the groundhog, Phil did not see his shadow, so we'll have an early spring. No 6 more weeks of winter. Hooray. So better weather means I'm more motivated to go out and explore the city, check out cool events and places, which is fitting for our special guest and her story. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Toya. So she's born and raised in a town she loves, Chicago, and she's the founder and CEO of Chicago Bravo, which is more than just a food blog, providing you with things to see, things to do, restaurant reviews, and more in the Windy City. She currently lives and works in the Chicago area, and overall great person to have on our show today. So welcome, Toya. Woo!
Thank you, Kelly. That was an awesome intro.
Yeah, thanks for being on the Daily Grind for today's episode. I'm super pumped to talk more about your story and what you all do. So maybe let's have you introduce yourself to our listeners out there. So who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited about just digging in and getting your listeners to know more about Chicago Bravo. So basically, my name is just Toya Gipson. I'm a girl from the west side of Chicago, and I'm just looking to leave an impression on the world via Chicago. So I'm a creative who I started out just acting in church, doing plays and skits and things like that as a child. And fast forward, I used my knack for writing to write skits and plays of my own. And so I became the drama director at my church. And then I was just looking to do more. So I'm part of Emmanuel, which is part of the International Churches of God in Christ. And I'm very active. And so, you get to speak a lot and you get to go out a lot and explore new things. And so I decided to just use that and channel it to do basically what is like a lifestyle blog. But I wanted to help other people get out and experience great things about Chicago too. So, incorporating all of that, I love to explore. I love great food. And so I started blogging about the great city of Chicago and all that it has to offer in the way of fun, food, and fashion under my company, Chicago Bravo. And so I've been getting some really good feedback on it, and I just hope that it goes a little further and grows a little bit more this year.
Awesome, that's great. I love it. You have tons of energy and very on the go. You fit our daily grinder, persona basically. So that's why you're on
Awesome.
here. Busy
Yeah.
schedule, super active. I guess what got you interested into lifestyle blogging and starting your own business now?
Well, okay, so if I want to start from the very beginning, like I
Yeah.
hate to keep bringing up the when I was a kid line. But of course, childhood is the genesis of our being, right? So I remember one of my teachers, I believe it was Miss Seidner at Oscar Mayer School, taking inventory and asking the classic question of what we wanted to be when we grew up. And so I remember saying three things. I said a pediatrician, a lawyer, and an entrepreneur. And at the time, being a juvenile sesquipedalian, I kind of really only wanted those jobs because they were all about, big words and, but they were respected and well known careers and they sounded major. And so, however, I quickly I nixed the pediatrician thing because I learned about cadavers and realized I can't handle bio waste, not even my own. So I nixed that. And I really like the idea of working for myself, being my own boss. And so, even when I pursued other professional endeavors, childhood dreams really never die. And so, job after job, I realized that I was becoming increasingly discontented with not tapping into my own innate gifts and calling my own shots. So in the fall of 2018, after encouragement from a friend, um, though I wasn't fully ready, I just kind of started and got out there, which is the most important thing is really to just get started. So I'm slowly but surely rolling out the goals for Chicago Bravo and intend to go full force over the next few years. So I have some plans laid out for this year and some other major things I want to do, some other connections and partnerships that I would like to make. But basically, it was just a friend observing my Facebook and Instagram, and she's like, you really could be doing this like as a blog or like a lifestyle thing. And so she said it, and I went home and started the website and everything that night. And so
Wow.
ever since then, it's kind of been growing.
That's awesome. Like how you
Yeah,
it's really funny too that like as a kid like you mentioned entrepreneur and then as you got older it's actually what you're doing today and like
right.
it just can
Yeah.
like things just went you make connections, you meet people, your friend kind of looked at your social media and like it just went from
Mhm.
there. Super motivation. You mentioned your drama director at your church. Do you think that also had an influence on what you do today as well, or kind of both things overlap?
You know, I think it did, only because, you want to find new ways to think outside of the box as like an actor or, having friends that are thespians and things like that. I've always been into like SNL, Mad TV and Living Color, things like that. And so wanting to get out there and meet new people, most of the time when you meet someone, you're either going to meet over coffee or dinner, and so we're going to all these great places, and it's like we're not documenting or chronicling the experiences, which could be a really beautiful thing. Like, of course, whatever comes out of the relationship as it grows is great. But in the meantime, I feel like the journey there is like great food and things in Chicago. And Chicago has so much to offer in the way of food and restaurants. Like, it's known internationally as one of the
Mhm.
cities that offers the best food from so many different backgrounds. And so it's just helped me out a lot to start doing it that way. I mean, when I started the blog, it was with a bunch of pictures and videos and stuff that I already had cataloged in my phone that were just sitting there. And so I was able to use them to jumpstart the blog. But overall, it's just been really great getting there and just seeing the journey flesh itself out. And kind of, I think the gateway to that was just acting and getting to meet new people and doing skits and things like that. And so it's been really fun.
Definitely, yeah. You mentioned yeah, acting, meeting new people, just being outgoing and social. I think that's a key component in like networking, making connections, and like growing yourself, your own personal
Right.
brand as well as like your own your business and that brand. You mentioned yeah, you started taking you started the blog or with like pictures and videos that you originally had. Did you to I guess grow it to where it is today? Did you take classes or use other resources, talk to other bloggers? Um,
I did all those things actually. So there's like a guru, I guess you could say, that knows how to grow online businesses, or she's like a guru in social media marketing, and she has a page called Clickish, and so she shares things called content sugar, kind of tells you how to draw your followers in and kind of get the audience that you want and how to grow at a greater rate. And so she had all these great bloggers and influencers come in from around Chicago, and they were from all backgrounds. We have like a mommy blogger, a photographer, a shopper, just, like a plus size model, all those backgrounds. And they came and they just shared tips of the trade. Some of them were just adamant about not beating yourself up if you don't see growth at the rate that you think you should. If you're growing an organic audience, then it's going to take more time. And some of them have been in the game over 10 years. And so it was just encouraging to collect that kind of information. I also went to an executive and trainings entrepreneurship course over the last summer with CNBC Bank, different things like that. Like, I have friends that'll kind of observe what I'm doing and put me in contact with some of their connections or some of their networks. And they just basically teach you how to grow your business and how to grow your brand.
mhm.
And I think that a lot of times we don't even realize that we are a brand. We sit on our gifts and we don't really experience what we could out of life because we think it's just everyone's doing that. But I think that everyone has a unique gift that they can give back to the world.
Mhm.
If it's in you, like you wake up in the morning and you're like, I need to talk to people, or I think I would be good in front of the camera, then it behooves you to go out and do that, because it'll just open up the window for things to come flying at you. Like, You have all these different opportunities that will just flood your way because you're following your gift. And so that's what I did basically. And then I just started meeting new people, networking, connecting. And then, people will say, I think sometimes we take it personally when we have to learn more about the craft. But I don't think you should get offended if someone says, "Oh, I looked at your page and I think you could clean this up," or, make the image look this way. Then that really is good advice. And so I followed up on that every time someone offered me a piece of advice that I felt like could be helpful. And it really has led to some really great opportunities and connections. So I'm just excited about where those are going to go. And I'm looking for things to continue to grow. And writing out an actual plan and a mission statement is very helpful and beneficial to what you're trying to do. And I had someone tell me that just Saturday, like, you need to sit down, write a couple points what you want to do, make sure that the vision is clear, the mission is clear, and then it'll help you to pursue what you want to do a little bit better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, to have like your goal mindset in mind, and then
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
yeah, next steps and what you're looking to accomplish within whatever time period or year or monthly or
Exactly. Yeah.
how long or short you're measuring it. You mentioned, yeah, you networked with different people outside of like mommy bloggers, shoppers, models, like there's
Right.
like people all that.
Hmm.
Do you think having the diverse group of people that you networked with, like, because you're more of a lifestyle blogger, do you think that's helped you out, grow yours, get different key takeaway advice from them as well?
I think so. I think it's just helpful to look at things from a different point. So I had someone refer to them as competitors or your competition. And I don't really look at them as competition. Everyone's offering something different. And even if they are doing the same thing, like your appeal, for whatever reason, it's just going to be different. That's just the truth of the matter. But having people that are basically in the same industry or in the same lane as you, they kind of have the same passions. So, regardless if they're modeling shoes or if they're a curvy figure model or they're a mommy blogger, at the end of the day, their mission and their goal is pretty much the same: to get their targeted message out to a particular audience and to grow their network and to just get the word out there and become basically like a household name. And so I think that in that way, we're able to sharpen each other's iron and kind of learn from one another and glean from one another in ways that you can't do from someone who's running, like, I don't know, like a janitorial service or something. Like, our goals are going to be different. But for people that are in that same lane, like, we can look at one another and understand each other's frustrations. Oh, I'm losing followers, or someone said this on my page. How do I handle it? Like, you can get that information from that group of women. So it's just very helpful to put yourself in the circles that are going to be beneficial to you and not necessarily be intimidated by them or feel slighted by them in any way. Like, you don't know anyone's particular story, like how long it took them to get there or, what resources they have. And so it's just best to kind of like get around those people. Make sure that you're collecting information. Don't just go for fun, but actually go to learn something. And then kind of incorporate that into your daily routine and kind of like follow suit that way.
Yeah, definitely. Like a community of people around you, and then you can bounce off ideas with them, and
Yeah.
yeah, bounce off like, and also provide feedback. They provide you feedback, you provide them feedback. Just
Right.
really good relationship, I guess. What was your You mentioned daily routine, so could you walk us through like a day of you like working on content for
Yeah.
Chicago
Yeah.
blogging? I
So,
mean, every day's different, but
right. Yeah. And I learned that from one of the more successful bloggers that I know, Christian, by I think it's by she. She's been doing it for a long time. She and her husband left their jobs. They started their own company, and they kind of do like the blogging thing in their business full time. And one tip that she gave, and there's another empowerment coach that I ran across that has a blog, and she has like a email subscription list and all that. I'm like, how do you run all of that on top of your job every day? But they give you tips like, get basically like a generator, a scheduler that can schedule your posts for you. So you sit down one day for, I don't know, maybe 5 hours and write out every um, post that you want to put out for the week. And it'll just send them out on a schedule versus you having to sit there and do it every day. Something like that. Or even just making sure that you have a routine. Like, some people do Thankful Thursdays. Let's talk about it Mondays. They have themes. And so it kind of keeps them on track so that they know exactly what they're going to have to do that week. And I was just kind of freestyling it. Like, okay, I'm going out to dinner tonight. I'll post these pictures later. But then when you do that, like somebody who likes to go out to eat a lot, and I have a lot of friends that go out to eat, things like that, what happens is you get pictures and experiences and things that just pile up in your inventory and you don't really ever get to them. And so I think that actually planning it out and sitting down and taking that time to actually become regimented is very helpful to a blogger because it puts you on a schedule. Like anytime you don't really have a schedule or routine, things can get kind of crazy and out of whack. But if you really put yourself in a routine, it makes everything so much easier and smoother. So then okay, I can take this on and I can pick this up and I can do this because I've already got that handled. And so I learned that from some of the bloggers that I've met. Even, it's something as small as having someone around that loves to take pictures of you. If you have a friend or a boyfriend or whatever that just does not like taking pictures of you, but you're always with them, that's not going to benefit you as a blogger because you need someone to document your daily activities, almost like having your own personal paparazzi. Not really. You don't want anybody to feel like they're just being your flunky, but you just need someone that enjoys doing that for you or that wants to support your endeavors in that way. And that can become very helpful to you. Even something as small as I was standing in the doorway of a restaurant, texting on my phone. If they took that picture and it looks nice, you could post that. You don't necessarily even have to post the food. And that will be beneficial to your blog. So it just comes with, thinking of who can help me do what I'm trying to do. It's really building a business. Like you feel like, oh, it's just a hobby, but it's not. It's really just building your personal business and building a brand around yourself that will help push you into your goals and your dreams a little bit more.
Yeah, like for instance, like when you go to a restaurant, do you plan it, like do you have to schedule ahead, like make reservations? Do you go with a certain group of friends? Do you go with your personal paparazzi person?
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. And so I have one friend, she would go up to the owners and be like, she has a blog, she's awesome, you need to do this and blah, blah, blah. And so they'll be like, oh, really? Let's talk, and it'll spark a conversation. I don't always get the opportunity to contact the restaurant first because I'll either be going like, even if it's like on a surprise date or, just meeting a friend for their birthday or a lunch or something, I still use that material. But I have, it's like sometimes when you do schedule ahead, it gives you the opportunity to talk to the management staff. They make special accommodations for you, special offerings that they can give you, even if it's not like they're not going to comp your whole meal for you and your group. But, they will give something that'll help you push because really it's advertising for their establishment. So it's a two-way street. It helps them and it helps you. So no one's really going to turn down additional publicity, So it's like if I can come to them and say, I'm going to be bringing you this, how can you help me in return? That's a good way to get it going. And also you want to go with people that don't have a limited palate. If you have someone like you're going out for pizza at a special Italian restaurant or something, you don't want someone with a gluten allergy to go and they can only eat a salad, because then it's not going to allow you to really take pictures of food that entices people or makes them salivate or piques their interest. I mean, there are blogs that are geared toward nothing but healthy eating, clean eating. So you have vegan blogs, you have smoothie blogs, you have fruit blogs, all kinds of things. There's always something that appeals to a certain demographic. But if your thing, like, there's a hashtag that goes, that is called food porn. Food porn would not be a Caesar salad. Food porn would be like a ooey gooey pizza slice or something, or like a shake with brownies and cookies on top, and it's oozing out of the something like that. And it's not even that you want to eat that all the time because it's super unhealthy to eat like that all the time. But sometimes you just order it to take a picture. And so it just kind of comes with the territory, the friends you choose, the people that you select to go out with, the people that you choose to surround yourself with. Because if you're around someone who's down in the dumps all day and they need you to encourage them, they're not going to want to go out and have fun and take pictures of you. They want you to make them feel better. And so you have to choose your audience wisely. It's not saying to cut anyone off or not be friends with someone, but just to make sure that you're stockpiling your arsenal with enough to get you through to what you want to do, basically to help you win the battle and the war. Because it really is like you can't really support yourself when you're first getting started with your blog. Eventually people get paid just to post or just to comment on someone, but that takes time to build up because you have to build an audience. You have to show that people care about what you have to say, that your opinion is valued, that if I tell someone don't go to this restaurant, that 10,000 people are going to listen to me, that kind of thing. So it comes with time. So you have to be patient and give yourself time to grow and give your brand and your business time to grow. But you also have to be serious and be professional about what your endeavors are. I would never say to treat it like it's just something you can pick up and put down whenever you will. You wouldn't do that with your job. So I feel like, if you come home, you have free time in the evening, that's the time that you use towards your business, whatever it is, whether it's watching a YouTube video, learning more about what the industry has to offer, what direction it's going in. You owe it to yourself to do that, to make sure that your business is growing at the rate that you want to see it grow at.
Definitely. Yeah. Very, very good points, Toya, that you mentioned. Really key for any listeners out there looking to start, be like a lifestyle blogger or in that space, basically. And you mentioned too, I thought like you have to be strategic in what you do and what content you take. And then also like when you mentioned like who you go with, you want to have a fun and positive experience because you want to tell that story to your audience. Yeah. So like having like the bestsellers on the menu or ordering stuff that's very appealing and appetizing is super important. I did as much research as I could on you. So tell us more, our listeners, about 5 Spoons restaurant review. How do I get that?
So 5 Spoons, I thought I loved food, and so I would give everything 5 spoons, but I think it's all inclusive, right? So you have the atmosphere, you have the service, and you have the food that you want to rate so that you can give your audience like a full experience. Like you don't want to tell someone the service was great, but my food tasted like dirt. Like you should tell people that because they're going to want to know like, what am I spending my money on? I don't want to go out and spend a ton of money on something that tastes like crap. Or, the food is amazing, but they rushed you the whole time and they made you feel unwelcomed and like, you had to hurry up and scarf your food down or take home a doggy bag and it just wasn't a good time. Or, if they have limited parking, do they have valet parking? Is it affordable? Like things like that you want to share with the audience so that they know if it's going to be an overall great experience, or should I take my money, down the street to the Sugar Bowl and just get a cup of ice cream and go home? So it's like you want to make sure that you're offering people something that they can look at and say, okay, this might not be a 5 spoons, which means the service was great, the food was great, the atmosphere was beautiful, like, the restaurant was really nice, the parking was easy, things like that. That's a 5 spoons review. But I would give someone 3 spoons if I didn't love the food. If it was good, but it didn't knock my socks off, Or, the service was okay, but my waiter never came back and asked, was my food okay? I'm going to rate you on something like that. And that's why I don't always like to tell them ahead of time, because I don't want you to put on a show for me because I'm going to be critiquing you. I
Mm-hmm.
want you to be your natural self so I can tell people what to expect when they go.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
or if the restaurant is nice, but the bathroom looks like it hadn't been tended to in 3 years. Like you want to put that out there because that's gross.
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and I'm yeah, and I'm like, this is not New York or California, so you can't go up to a restaurant and say, oh, they have an A. This is a good restaurant, or they got a C. We probably shouldn't eat there. So Chicago, you just gotta know the area. You gotta kind of know the restaurant already to know if you're gonna get sick tomorrow when you go home, even though the food was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and so it's just like that's my goal, is to share with people like what the price points are. How was the experience? How was the food? How was the service? Did the waiter come over and talk to you afterwards? Did they, make sure that you were accommodated? Things like that, because sometimes you have waiters that will go out of their way, like above and beyond. Oh, you didn't like that, or oh, you wanted this and it's not on the menu anymore. Well, I brought you this instead. Let me know if you like it. It's on the house. Things like that. I've had those kinds of experiences where they didn't even know who I was, or they didn't know that I was going to be looking to rate them. So those are the kinds of places that you would want to go to. Like if you have family in town, or you're going out for your birthday, something like that. You want to take people to some place that's nice, it's reputable, it has good food, and that they're going to enjoy. And so that's my goal, like letting people know what to do when you come into town. Like I have lots of family that's like on either coast. And, when they come into town, we don't want to just sit in the house and watch TV. I want to go out and show them what Chicago has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that a lot of Chicagoans don't even know what we have to offer. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "What restaurant is that? That's in Chicago. What do they do? You can eat on the boat? Like what?" And so it's like you want to get out there, and like it's a very touristy city, but because we live here, we take advantage. We don't take
Mm-hmm.
advantage of what it has to offer. And so I think it's just great to get out and see the city. It's so beautiful at night,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fun by day. And there are places that are safe, and there are some that are not so safe. And
Mm-hmm.
so you would want to know that. So I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you.
Yeah.
So it's,
Definitely.
yeah, it's just a matter of getting out and having a good time and making sure you can tell people, okay, this is going to be at the top of the list with 5 spoons, or this one is probably going to be a 2. You don't want to go there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. You want to have
Yeah.
like, yeah, even from like me living in Chicago too as well. I still read reviews regardless, even if I'm from here. But I know too, when I bring people or when people come to visit, like I want them to have a good experience and like like a well-rounded overall experience, like you're mentioning. It's not
Right.
just the
Yeah.
food's delicious, but overall like customer service and all
Hmm.
the notes. I want everything, so I know it's gonna be a good thing. And also too, you want those ones are like you said you went to different restaurants and you didn't tell them that you're blogging, but it was just like you want the natural experience that they
Right.
offer, like the
Exactly.
typical one, because someone that's looking at your blog or looking at whatever restaurant you reviewed, they're like the average Joe, so they're gonna go in there, they're not gonna say like, oh yeah, I'm a blogger.
Right.
So
Exactly.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
another question I have too. Chicago Bravo. So, is there significant meaning behind the name, or I guess how do you create your brand?
I don't even know where that name came from, to be honest. I don't even know. Like, it really just came to me. Like, it hit me, and I Googled it, and I was like, there's nothing called that. I think there was like a theater group years ago called Bravo in Chicago or something like that.
Mhm.
But they've since like phased out. But I wanted something that spoke to the city, but was still unique, but kind of like sounded like something that, it had a ring to it.
Mhm.
Like you don't want to name something like "Let's go eat in Chicago." Like
Mhm.
that's too much. You want something like one or two names, like Google or Yahoo, or those kinds of names that are like household names that it's just like one syllable. But this one is still 2 words, but it sounds like something to me.
Mhm.
So it's like when you hear it, you're like, oh, what's that?
Mhm.
Um, And I kind of got like good feedback from it. I've never, some people like, oh, we're this, but we're doing business as this, or we
Mm-hmm.
were that, but now we're this. Like I've never had the desire to change the name. I mean, I've only been doing it for like a little bit over a year now, but
Mm-hmm.
I've never had the desire to change the name or anything because it stuck with me, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought it sounded good, and it was just something that I appreciated and I liked for myself. And so I thought of it, and I just kind of ran with it. It
Mm-hmm.
was just I don't know. It's just kind of like second nature, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's great. I think it fits into your overall what you're doing, and I do like the tagline too, like "Let's go out," because you're
Yeah.
not just food, you're not just a food blog. You're more than that. So,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about other like other things that you do within Chicago Bravo?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'll do like, I'll shoot a video and throw it on YouTube, that is basically like a movie review. So I'll do movies from Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are people that are like, I'm sitting at home. I don't necessarily want to go out. I know some people that hate theaters, but they want to know if this movie is worth their time. And I got that from my sister. She would be like, that movie was so bad. I want to sue the company for my time back. And I'm like, I know, right? Like, I'm like, okay, well, in order to keep people from wasting their time, like, I'll check it out in the meantime. Like, I've always got it going in the background or something. So I'm like, but I don't watch movies the same way other people do. And I think that's because I write. So if it's something that's relatively or, fairly easy to figure out the plot points, or like the ending was totally lackluster, or the acting just was subpar, like I'm going to share my brutally honest opinions about that. Even
Mm-hmm.
if I love the actor or actress in it, I want to share the real about it, because I don't want people to go and spend their money or their time on something that they didn't have to if they had known about it beforehand. I want people to tell me. Sometimes people don't want to know, they want to draw a conclusion for themselves, but I feel like movies are part of what we do for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And Chicago Bravo covers fun as well. So if you're gonna go out and see a movie or go on a date with a girl, you're gonna want to know if it's gonna make her want to feel mushy, or if
Mm-hmm.
she's
Yeah.
gonna be mad afterwards. Like, don't go see that movie with her.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Mm-hmm.
like things like that, or even just like events about town.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many different neighborhoods in Chicago. We've got Chinatown. We've got the Puerto Rican neighborhood with the
Mm-hmm.
flags over by
Mm-hmm.
like division. We've
Oh
got
yeah.
you know
Yeah. Oh
little
man.
yeah little Italy.
Oh yep.
Italy, the
Mm-hmm.
Ukrainian village, all of that. And so you want to go and explore each of those neighborhoods and
Mm-hmm.
share what they have to offer. So much beauty in Chicago. It's like almost exploring the world without having to leave, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And
Basically, we were like a melting pot.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you should, so I'll post anything from tchotchkes to tacos to fufu,
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'll eat all of that, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you like what neighborhoods are having like, a festival this weekend that you might want to check out, or someplace fun to take your kids or something like that. Um because there's so many, some places in Chicago have been around for like our entire lives, and people don't really know about them. Like they're still like super unsung, but
Mm-hmm.
they're great spots to go to. And so I like to go to, like, I'll go anywhere from like a hole in a wall to the signature room on the 95th floor of the
Mm-hmm.
John Hancock. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, because all of those places have something lovely to offer. So I'll even go to places that people might not want to go. Like you might not see a blogger on the west side of Chicago in a hole in the wall because they think it's dangerous or it's an unsavory company or what have you. But I'll go there and I'll be like, hey, call your food in, do Uber Eats or something.
Mm-hmm.
But this place has good food. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'll go to those places, I'll do the things that people don't necessarily want to do or that they don't have time to do. And I'll talk to the people that you might not want to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like, and I'm very outspoken. So
Mm-hmm.
even if it's a political statement or something, like I will put it out there and allow people to say if they want to go or not, or if they want to partake or
Mm-hmm.
participate in a certain event. But I think that it just is in our best interest to make sure that we're tapping everything that the city has to offer, because we'll go all the way to another city or state, thinking that we're going to get this special experience, and you have that in Chicago and it's better, you know? So,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're like all
yeah.
over the place in
Yeah,
Chicago, which
yeah.
is great. That's awesome for your audience. Do you have like any stories or like unique requests that you've had, like maybe something that was recent or something when you first started Chicago Bravo, of like someone you helping out a listener or providing a review and they've gotten back to you because it was like a birthday or I don't know, some like
Yeah,
anything that you
no,
want
I
to
do
share?
have that all the time.
Yeah.
People go,
Yeah.
"Oh, I saw that you went there and I checked it out for my birthday." Or, I'm always looking for it. Like, they don't always comment, or, you're not always going to know who's watching you. But people always come and say, "That restaurant was good." And I'm like, "Why didn't you comment?" And they're like, "I don't know. I just saw it and went." I'm like, "Okay." But they are watching, even if they don't comment or if they don't double tap for a like or what have you. They're like watching. And so I've had this people come to me and say, "My anniversary is coming up. Can you recommend a restaurant?" Or, "Can you ask your audience what this restaurant is like?" And it'll be a nice restaurant. I'm not going to throw any names out there, but it'll be a really nice restaurant on the Gold Coast. And you would think that it would be a great restaurant, but people are like, "Don't go there. The food is awful." And so the steak is really dry. It's really tough. It's supposed to be a steakhouse and it's not awesome. So you want to put that stuff out there. And then I have people that they don't always want it to be known what they're doing because they want to surprise like their wife with a special dinner, or maybe they messed up or something and they're like, "I really need to get out of the doghouse. Like, where can I go that will make her be like, okay, you're trying?" And people, they don't always, they're intimidated by some of the nicer, fancier restaurants because they're like, "Oh, well, I can't afford to go there." And I'm like, "Dude, you can go there and spend $30 or $40 and have a really nice meal. Like, it's not going to break the bank." And I think that that's the common misconception, is that people think, if I go to this fancy steakhouse or if I go to this restaurant where they're playing the piano when you walk in, then you're gonna have to spend $200 on a meal, and that's just not true. Like, there are specials that you can take advantage of, just different things. Even just the atmosphere or the climate of the restaurant can really help you have a good time. Just like live music or overlooking the river, things like that. You want to give people examples of your experiences so that when they go, then they know that they're going to get something great. But even like I was on teams to recommend corporate parties for like Christmas parties and things like that for certain offices or businesses downtown. So I would go to the restaurant and ask them, in their off peak hours. It could be when the restaurant is still closed, or right before they allow people to come in for lunch or what have you. And they'll walk you around and they'll show you the layout of the restaurant and walk you through the menu, your options. If you want to do a wedding there, you could. And so I'll go out and do that. And then I'll send it to the company or the business or the family that's looking for a wedding. And I'll put it together in a video montage. And then they'll share it with their people and they'll share it with their people. And I'm like, I didn't know this video was going to this many people. But that's why it's just really important to put out your best content at all times, because you never know where it's going to go. Especially when you put it out on the internet, you don't know who's going to get a hold of it. And so I've just had a lot of fun doing that. And I didn't know it was going to go that way when I first started. I'm like, okay, I didn't know I was going to be making like big recommendations and having to learn more about, food and beverage options at restaurants and knowing how to do the contracts and things like that. Like, you have to start to get to know those things, because those are very important questions when it comes to booking parties or corporate events or things like that. So that I kind of got my feet wet when I started Chicago Bravo with those kinds of events. And it just let me know, like, it opened a whole nother door to me, as far as restaurants go, where it's not just I'm going to get something to eat. It's like, no, I'm planning a really big party for 200 people. How can you accommodate me? And so, there's so many things that you can do with that. And I've just had so much fun doing it. I didn't know it would be so much fun to me. But I love pictures. I love food. I'm gregarious. I love talking to people. And so I'm going to go out and do those things that people may not even have time to do because they got to go to work. So they can't go check out a venue for a wedding or a special event or even a repast, things like that.
Yeah.
So we'll go out and do it.
Yeah, definitely. Your scope has definitely has expanded since you first started, for sure. Not just
Yeah.
the dinner for two or going out for a birthday or just getting grabbing a coffee or a small bite. Like you're looking for now, you're reviewing for like a bigger audience, a group of how many people,
Right.
and then for corporate events, special events, weddings, things like that. I was gonna ask
Right.
too, is your scope are you gonna stay with it? Do you just review within Chicago, or like when you travel, do you also talk about what you do and where you go?
Yeah. So I've traveled and I've actually shared things to Chicago Bravo. Even from Paris, I've gone as far as Rome. Well, some of my team has, and they will send back the pictures of the places and the food and all of that because you think that food is food and it's the same everywhere and it just isn't. So you'll go to Paris and order a meal that is a completely different meat than you would get in America. Um, and so even if I go out of town, if I go to California or Texas or New York or DC or what have you, I'll still share it. And I was like, well, even if I were to, for whatever reason, one day move to Pennsylvania or something, I would still keep the same name. I could still pitch it to that particular city, but I would keep the name because it doesn't have to change based on the location to me. Just like, you have California Pizza Kitchen and things like that. Like, this is in California, but we got a CPK.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just like, I think that sharing experiences overall is what people want to see. And sometimes people don't even want to go to these places, or they might not even be able to, they might be an invalid or something, and they're not able to get out of the house. But they love to see people having a good time, having fun, looking good, feeling good. Like those things bring people almost as much joy as doing it themselves. So once, you get that trick underway, you understand that people love like the film academy, the not the film academy, but the academy period, the Oscars, the movie industry, even in politics, they favor beautiful people. So you'll look at a TV show and you're like, oh, that's just a group of friends. No, they're all attractive people, but because they're on TV, like you have to look good enough to, when you send in a headshot, they have a certain look. They want like an effortless beauty to showcase, and then people love it and they want to be these people and they want to be friends with them. And it's like, it reminds me of when I went downtown a few weeks ago to the Friends set, and I was like losing it. I like flipped my lid because I'm like, oh my God, it's Phoebe. It's like, it's a cardboard cutout of Phoebe. It's not really Phoebe, but you grow up watching these people and you love them, and it's just fun to watch them, and they bring you joy and they make you feel happy. And even if you're not on TV or you don't make it to the big screen to, movies or anything like that, you can still bring people that kind of joy when, they see you, because all they need is like an air of familiarity. Like an air of familiarity and hearing your name makes you a celebrity. And somebody sees you in person and they're like, oh my God, I know you. You're from blah, blah, blah. I've heard so much about you, that kind of thing. And so it's kind of like you make yourself famous. You make yourself something that people want to aspire to, that people think makes them feel good, or things that look good. They love to watch people model clothes because models look good, right? And so if you look good and you feel good and you make people happy, that's like half the battle. They don't ever even have to follow up and be able to do what you're doing, but just making people feel a certain way is what wins the battle.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, just you're influencing someone for the better, and having now they can have a enjoyable life experience or wherever they go.
Yeah.
I visited the Friends set too, and I got super pumped up and excited, and I tried to fake playing Smelly Cat.
Oh my God, yes. My cousin sent me her recording. She was like singing it in the booth. I was like, oh my God, I missed that part.
Yeah.
But Yeah, it
Yes.
was. I had so much
Yeah,
fun.
those are great. Like different experiences and stuff. I'm assuming you wrote a review on that one as well, and just being able to share your experience, and then also it just influenced like you telling your story to other people on the internet or just in person or however you interact with them. I think that's huge, and we need more people
Yeah.
out there like yourself doing that. I guess maybe transitioning more. You're killing it at the lifestyle blogging. What do you do like to help balance that out? Like other stuff to maybe like distress if you're like doing too much of that, or how do you find like a balance? Like, do you have other hobbies as well?
Yeah, you have to have a balance. And for me, it's really like my family and my friends and my church. You
Mm-hmm.
know, sometimes you just need to go and have someone else make you feel good. You know, it's like you
Mm-hmm.
can't, if you're always pouring out, then you become empty and you don't have anything to give back or even enough for yourself. So I'll go and just like being around my nieces and nephews just brings me so much joy because kids are like naturally high on life. All it takes is
Mm-hmm.
like a balloon or a bubble and they're like freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
And so just to see them having so much fun and being happy makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just things like going bowling with my
Mm-hmm.
sisters or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a night at home and we order a bunch of food and just sit around and talk about memories and experiences, things like that. Just kind of help me to decompress. Just someone to talk to about what you're doing and what your goals are,
Mm-hmm.
and having them just be like, you know, it's okay. You're gonna go do this, and we're gonna go do that, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, just having a support system at the base of it all is really helpful because you know you don't always want it to be about building the brand or building the business because then it's like people are around you for something other than you.
Mm-hmm.
So just having people that want to be around you because they like you and they enjoy you is major. And I think that's why a lot of celebrities and big figures, you know, like the Anthony Bourdains of the world, like he had the best job and he hung himself, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like at the end of the day they're probably like super lonely. You know, you had
Mm-hmm.
all this fun all day with people you don't know, you're probably never going to see again, and you go
Mm-hmm.
home and sit in a hotel or in the dark by yourself and have a drink and watch TV, and
Mm-hmm.
there's no one that goes, what are you doing? I just want to sit with you. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and I that's one of the I watch a lot of fun sitcoms and comedies, and I was watching Parks and Rec,
Mm-hmm.
and it was an episode when Leslie and Ben got married, and in their vows they said, "I love you and I like you." And I just think that's so major because we take love and we use it and throw it around and we take it for granted almost because it's like, yeah, I love you. You're my sister, of course. Yeah, I love you. You're my aunt, of course. And it's like you love a person just because they exist or just because you're bonded by blood. But I think to like someone means that you enjoy that person, you enjoy their company, you
Mm-hmm.
enjoy their person, period.
Mm-hmm.
And to have someone that just likes you is major. Like if you're married, your husband loves you,
Mm-hmm.
but he might not like to go out with you. He might not like to just sit in the house with you. But if you have someone that likes to be around you and likes you genuinely, like that's what I think that the world is missing. And so for me, my family and my friends and my church, I know those people like they like me before there was a Chicago Bravo,
Mm-hmm.
before, you know, it takes off and blows up or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
They have always been people that have genuinely, where are you? What are you doing? Can I see you? Can we hang out? You know, they really like you. And so I think that's what people need to do is find people that like them, and that can bring them something that doesn't always have to do with their goals and their aspirations. Like you need a balance. Like, yes, you need a team that's going to push you and drive you. But at the end of the day, you just need people that are people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what grounds me the most is like people that are people and that like me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really
Yeah.
well. Yeah, really well said there, Toya. You talked about your like daily schedule. What's on your daily grind in the upcoming weeks, like later this year?
Well, in the upcoming weeks, well, this week is family. I'm sorry, not family.
Mm-hmm.
It's Chicago Restaurant Week. Next week is Black. restaurant week. And so you're going to have the Black restaurants that are going to be showcasing their food and things like that. But in the upcoming months, like I'm going, well, it's not even the months. This is this week as well, but I'm going to be covering the auto show with my media credentials. And I'm going to go there and just kind of bring you an inside scoop of the auto show. And it's something that comes every year, but we don't always go to or take advantage of. And I'm just going to go there and kind of put it out there a little bit more this year, talk about women in the industry, that kind of thing. And then I'm going to do more collaborating with other bloggers and artists. And so I have friends that are musicians. One of my friends just actually won a Grammy. He worked on a project that won a Grammy. So he posted it this past Sunday and we were all excited. You know, things like that. We're going to just get together and see how we can add to one another and do more events. I actually see myself ultimately like on red carpets, you know, just like speaking to the beautiful people and rubbing elbows with them and like, you know, kind of getting inside of their heads a little bit. And it's not so much to just say, oh, I talked to, I don't know, Jennifer Aniston. It's like, no, I want to talk to people and kind of give back to them. Because I don't think that they ever really get that. Like they come and they talk about their projects or they talk about what they have going on, but they don't have anybody that really wants to get to them. And so that's going to be one of my goals going forward. My friend just interviewed Tyler Perry and the cast for the movie A Fall from Grace. And so we're talking about working with the Latino Scoop and kind of getting that going and getting the ball rolling that way. So there's so many things that we can branch out and do, so many people that we can touch, but it's just like for a lack of trying that we don't. And so it's like once you put yourself out there and start to get around different groups and use the resources that are at your immediate disposal, because we all have someone that we're connected to that is doing something great or has something going for them, and even just having them talk about it will add to you. It's like it makes everybody better. And so in the coming months, that's what I'm going to be doing a little bit more of, is actually talking to people, getting out there, building some really meaningful relationships with restaurant owners and chefs. There's some of the chefs, like even if you share some of their food and it doesn't get a big response, they appreciate that you're even trying to help them in that way. And so we've been connecting and becoming friends and talking more about what we can do to help one another. So, you know, I want to start to do more events and things like that. I'm going to start to branch out a little bit more. And it's going to be under a different umbrella with Chicago Bravo, but it's still going to, you know, still going to be within the company realm. And so I'm just excited about what's coming up this year and the things that I'm going to be able to do and the people that I'm going to be able to meet and network with. And we're just looking forward to having a really big year and going for full force.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like it will be a big 2020 for you. Lots of collaborating, lots of events, lots of things on your radar, which is really exciting. I'm excited to have you on in the future for sure and telling even more stories. Do you have a word of the day to motivate our listeners out there?
You know what? Yes, I do. And you know, I have a lifestyle blog, but your lifestyle has to be directly related to how you live, right? And so I always tell people, don't be so hung up on love that you allow yourself to be hurt. And don't be so hung up on hurt that you don't allow yourself to be loved. And so it's like sometimes we try to guard ourselves by, you know, not putting ourselves out there or not talking to people or meeting new people because we're afraid of getting hurt. But if you're so hung up on that, then you'll never go out and meet people that can really add value to your life. And it works vice versa. If you're so stuck on finding people that you want to love you, then you're clamoring, you'll latch on to anything and anybody, and you could possibly meet someone that wants to do you harm or doesn't have your best interest at heart. So you really have to find that good balance to make sure that you're getting the optimal results for your life and the things that you want to see happen in your life. So you can't be so hung up on love that you allow yourself to get hurt. And you can't be so hung up on hurt that you don't allow yourself to be loved.
Oh, wow. That fits in perfectly with today's episode. And I totally agree on that. Very well said. Super motivational in a great way towards ending our podcast. So, Toya, if listeners have questions, comments, want to get in touch with you, learn more about you and your story and your brand, how can they do so after the podcast?
They can go to Instagram at Chicago_Bravo. You can always DM me. I always respond. Even if it's a few days late, I always respond. Or you can email me directly at igochicagobravo@gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook at Chicago Bravo and at YouTube at Chicago Bravo. So anywhere you put in Chicago Bravo, I'm going to pop up and I'm going to be there. So feel free to reach out, and I'll always get back to you.
Great. That sounds awesome. We'll put Toya's contact info in our show notes for today's episode. Thanks again for tuning in today's episode, and a big thank you to Toya for being our podcast. When it comes to sharing my story, be sure to follow the Daily Grind at KJF Daily Grind on Instagram, and meet your host at Kelly J. Lefty on Instagram or Twitter. Be sure to go to our podcast network website, ambiguousproduction.com, for more content such as You Mad Bro, the Sam Bustle Podcast, and GDP, Goal Driven Professionals. Listen on Google, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. Until next time, I'm Kelly Johnson, your fun and friendly host, and have a great day.